Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this is Taking Care of Business. Joining me today is Rebecca Oates, who is AVP of Advanced Analytics for Equifax Canada. Thanks for joining us today, Rebecca.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Equifax put out some interesting data and in a news release today regarding holiday shopping season coming up. First of all, I wanted to ask you, in general, it shows, I guess, that consumers and small business owners are more confident heading into Black Friday and Cyber Monday this year. Why is that?
Well, I think one of the underlying reasons when we look at the numbers is really that we are seeing consumers start to spend more. So when we look at things like average credit card spend, we are seeing consumers go back out again. They are using their credit cards. They are kind of, putting more balance on there, although many are still paying those balances off. But that kind of creates a positive feeling across both the consumer and the business side of things. And when you look at things like the supply chain and what's happening right now with some of those challenges, a lot of this is really around demand, and it's really to do with consumers who, after almost 2 years, have really been kind of impacted by the pandemic and not been able to go out and do what perhaps they would do day to day. They're starting to get back out there. They're starting to kind of spend again, back in store, do things that they used to like to do.
And you mentioned the credit card spending, and that was part of the info that was released today. In the quarter three, the average, I'm just looking over here, the average was $1,400 for the credit cards, is trending up, highest in 3 years. How does that compare to, say, prior to the pandemic and where we were at that time?
Yeah, great question. So when we look at it compared to 2020, obviously you do see quite a large increase because people weren't spending as much. If we compare it directly back to 2019 and look at average consumer spend for this quarter, it's up around 4%. So we are still seeing increases compared to pre-pandemic as well.
Interesting. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, big weekend coming up that really kickstarts holiday spending. I know some of us have already been doing it, but Black Friday, the whole weekend, and Cyber Monday, how important is that going to be this year for small business owners across Canada?
I mean, it's always a big event. I know in the US, it can be huge. Here in Canada, we do see kind of, spend pick back up in that period. And when we look at the survey that we did, which was around 1,500 Canadians, around half of those said they were intending to go out and spend on Black Friday. And that's up compared to where we were last year. I mean, I definitely think there will be a shift more online because even with some of the lockdown restrictions easing in many areas, we have seen digital activity pick up since the pandemic started. So I think there will be a lot of activity online. But yeah, generally people are saying they are going to go out and be spending on Black Friday. Well,
that's good news. And a good news again for small business owners. One of the interesting things I did notice in the report today was over half of the small business owners are taking extra steps to attract customers this year. What kind of things are they doing, maybe more so this year than they have in the past?
So there is a lot more in terms of social media activity, again, because people are going more online. Some of the advertising has been a bit more, there's kind of more of it going to be online. We're seeing increased sales, things like that, just to try and really get those consumers to come to them. And when we look at the businesses that have said they're really going to be focusing on doing that, it does tend to be more of those newer businesses, so ones that perhaps aren't as established. They are really kind of looking at how do I really get those customers to come to me, as opposed to some of those kind of longer term, more established businesses that perhaps don't feel the need to do that. So sales activity, advertising, great offers, that's the kind of thing they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Last thing I just wanted to ask, Rebecca, is there anything else from the report that struck you as interesting in terms of what's happening right now in the consumer market and in terms of, I guess, shoppers out there?
Yeah, I mean, all I would really say, and I know we say this every year here at Equifax, is, as we come up to Black Friday and the holiday period, it's really exciting to be able to kind of go out and, again, go back to some of those perhaps spending habits that we had pre-COVID. But the one thing to look out for, inflation is up. Things are costing a little bit more right now, and that's partly to do with the supply chain. But obviously, just be careful, as you're going and making this purchase, make sure you are looking at down the line, can I afford to make those payments? come January, after the holiday period, because again, sometimes I can catch people out a little bit, particularly if interest rates start to go up and things in 2022. So just be really mindful of, make sure that when you are making those purchases, they're affordable for your circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks, Rebecca, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, super. That was Rebecca Oates, AVP of Advanced Analytics for Equifax Canada. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this has been Taking Care of Business. Thanks for joining us today.